Hey friends, thanks for joining us for another one of the 31 Days of Samhain. In case you're finding us this late in the game, my name is Melina and I am co-owner of Pathways Books in St. Louis, Missouri, a metaphysical resource center that honors all traditions. So if you're joining us now, we're in the part of the 31 days where we are talking about ritual aspects. So we're leading up to Samhain, and we want to be able to help you create your own ritual based on exactly what you need for the time. So I have a lot of notes right here in front of me because there's a lot of things I wanted to touch on, but I didn't want to miss out. So for those of you that follow along with this, and if you're one of those note takers like I am going to create a PDF for you so you'll have this all in one page, like kind of like a cheat sheet, kind of like what we did for correspondences earlier in the series. So there's going to be like 4 aspects we want to cover today on ritual elements. One is the intention, 2 is your energetic and physical preparation for your ritual, 3 is the actual framework for your ritual, and 4 is like aftercare or afterwork of your ritual. So beginning with the first one with the ritual intention. So your intention is your desired outcome for your ritual. There's a great story from the late great Deborah Bourbon where she did an invocation to Horus, but she didn't have like a purpose, and Horus came to her and said, you know, you've done an invocation, not an adoration. What do you want? So it's very important, especially since we're at Samhain, that you have a focus or an intention for your ritual. So it can be your desired outcome. And we talked in yesterday's episode, so you can just go back one episode on some ideas or some suggestions for what you would like to do in a ritual, whether it be healing work or whether it be ancestor work or what have you. So if you're looking for ideas, feel free to go back one episode and there'll be a whole bunch in that one for you. The second thing I wanted to touch on was energetic and physical preparation. So there's the basic things like cleansing your tools and making sure that your space is prepared, but there's also an energetic preparation to the aspect of any time you want to do like a ritual. So allowing yourself to kind of unplug from things, basic stuff, turning off your phones, your computers, your notifications, things like that, your alarms on your phone, which typically always go off during my Facebook lives. About half the time I remember to turn those off. But it's also really important to set aside time for yourself to like mentally and emotionally unplug from what's going on around you. Now we talk a lot about being in a liminal space, like a space outside of space and a time outside of time whenever we're in ritual. So allow yourself to mentally set down those cares and concerns. So like if you watch our Facebook lives in the morning, whenever we're like bringing that energy in and clearing things out, we remind you to set aside your cares and concerns. They'll be there when you're done. Don't let them energetically distract you from what you're doing. One other physical thing that you can do in order to prep for a ritual is also to do something like take an Epsom salt bath or a sea salt bath to also cleanse your auric field and your energetic space, and salt is a great way to do that. Now, if you can't take a bath, you could totally do this in a shower. One thing that I probably should have addressed at the beginning, we have folks that are, I believe the right word they're using nowadays is differently abled. Please remember that whatever you do, a ritual or any kind of working, your intention is the most important part of your work. So like if you cannot physically get in the tub and take a bath, you can energetically clear yourself that way too. When we talk about getting up and casting the circle or calling the quarters, you can do that from a chair just by directing your energy around the room. So don't let any sort of physical limitation keep you from working your magic. That's very important. We actually have a couple customers that come into Pathways that are quadriplegic, and they can still totally do ritual just by directing their energy and directing their mind. So don't let that stop you in what you're doing. Next section I wanted to talk about is the framework of the ritual. Um, all of these things I'm going to give you are going to be like I hate to use the word ideal, but like these are things I would normally put in my own ritual. However, they are not things that you have to put in yours. So when I create the PDF, I'll give you the, what Mel likes, and then I can also give you like just the basics. Because as we go through this, we'll talk about some things that are optional. So one of the first things, of course, before you actually start your ritual is cleansing and clearing your space. You can do that with sage. You can do it with sage spray. You can do it with salt water. You just kind of want to get any extraneous, like frenetic energy out of your space. The next thing that if I would do if it was me is I would do what's called banishing pentagrams and hexagrams. Those are a little more complicated. They come from the Western ceremonial magic tradition. If you were interested in learning those, there's a great book out there called The Witch's Shield, and it actually has a CD in the back of the book. So while you're waiting to learn, not waiting, but while you're learning your banishings, you can also like put the CD in, hit track 4, and track 4, Christopher will say the banishings for you, so that way you can still incorporate it into your space if you like. Now, say you have a problem in your home, say a lower energetic entity, you can also use that track 4. You can put it on repeat and then like leave your house, and the energetic in your house will be different when you come back. Now, the best way, of course, is to like learn them and do them yourself, but sometimes they take a little bit to learn. The next thing that you're going to want to do is to call the quarters. So typically, depending on your tradition, but most traditions start in the east. And so you'll call your 4 quarters in, and it's usually something to, I call to the east, element of air, and you can put some correspondences in there. And if you guys are interested in more of that, I can definitely write more of that out for you. We're just talking a basic framework today. After you call in the quarters, I usually also call in center, which is like spirit, or you can call in deity. You can call in the Lord and the Lady. You can call in the deity that you're working with. So maybe you're working with like Hecate or Cernunnos or anything like that. You can call in that deity to join you. And then once you get everything cleansed, banished, and called in your quarters, that's when you can kind of take some time to do and state your intent for what you would like. So when people, it's kind of the rule of whatever you put into it, you get out of it. So if you say, okay, Mel, well, I've done my banishings in my quarters, and I'm just going to stand there and say, I would like some healing, please. It doesn't really work like that. Stating your intent, I would encourage you to take some time to really kind of think about what your intention is, to choose your words very carefully. And then when you state it, like state it from your heart or state it from your center, because again, the more energy that you put into something, the more that you're going to get out of it. So it's also a time when if you're going to create something in your ritual, like sometimes people will create a talisman, that would be the time that you would start that. So you can create an item to charge. Like if you're crafting something as a talisman, you can also charge your offering. And offerings could be anything from something you write on a piece of paper and burn to like a piece of food that you would charge and then put out in nature somewhere as an offering. Then you would raise energy to charge your item or your talisman or your focus. Some people do that through chant. Some people do that through dance. You could do it through like an affirmation, like you're chanting and clapping your hands. For like those folks, again, that are differently abled, there's a lot of ways that you can raise energy. Sometimes when people chant, they will kind of like nod and move their head. Like if you think of the monks, you can do it that way as well. Some folks will kind of like, as they chant, they may spiral, like they kind of will lean and spiral, because the idea is you're creating the energy and you're creating it's like you're amping it up, and then you'll be sending it out to the universe. You can also, like I said, raise energy just to a deity in general or to the universe if you're doing something that maybe for gratitude. Um, and then, of course, after you've sent all this energy out, it's important to ground your extra energy you have. So you get to that point where the energy is raised and you're really ready to send it out and it's really intense. And then you release it. And when you release it, you have to kind of cut that cord between you and the intention so that the intention can go out there and do the work for you. Now, after you do that, you may feel some residual energy within your body, and it's important to ground that energy out. So you can do something as simple as like putting your hand on the ground, and just like take a few deep breaths and feel that energy go down into Mother Earth. Again, if you're differently abled, you can have a stone like a hematite or a black tourmaline, anything like that. Put your energy into the stone, and you can always set that down on the ground later to kind of give that energy back to Mother Earth, and then she can recycle it and use it for something better. And then, of course, after grounding, you're going to want to close your quarters. So you want to release those quarters that you've called in. You want to, of course, release deity, or what I like to call it is like your thinking deity. I mean, can anybody really hold a deity? Um, there are some people that like to think they can. And then, of course, lastly, you'll do your banishings. And then after your banishings, you will have that reflection period. The circle is open, but unbroken. Merry meet, merry part, merry meet again. And that's the idea of like walking in reverse or directing your energy in reverse to open your circle. I know that that was a lot to throw at you in these little short videos that we do, but I will give you a PDF. The PDF is going to come a little later though, because I still have to write that up. And then the last part that I think a lot of people don't talk about enough is after work or after care, after a ritual. One of the things you're going to want to do right away before it gets away from you is to record your ritual by writing it down. Now, if you go into your ritual space and you already have this like written up as an outline, you're golden, no worries. But you may want to like start a book of shadows, and you would want to transcribe that into your book of shadows. Things you're going to want to include, of course, are date, time, astrological influences. You may want to put a short note in there about where you are in your personal journey or what's going on in your life at that time. And then you're going to want to kind of take some time to kind of reflect on how you felt during the ritual. If you felt like the energy was working really well, or if you felt like you had a blockage, like in a chakra or something, or if you felt really distracted maybe, but you'll want to kind of take note of all that, because you'll want to be able to go back to it later, because when you do this, it allows you to fine-tune further rituals down the road, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just work with what you had, and it's like, this didn't really work for me for raising energy, so I think I'll try something else next time. One of the other things that are important about that after work or after care when ritual is to reflect over the next few days. Notice how you feel. Notice what comes to you. Notice if your thoughts around things have changed. Notice if you feel different in your body. All of those things are going to be, a lot of them are going to be tied to your ritual. If you're like really focusing on what you're doing, it's going to be tied to your ritual and what you've done. So that is it in a nutshell. I know I've covered a lot of stuff here for you guys today. So, and I went through it kind of quick because I'm trying to keep these videos bite-sized for you. But I'm going to create a PDF that's going to come out later, and it'll have like this information in it for you, so you don't have to worry if you've missed anything. So as always, I'd like to thank you again for sticking with us thus far during the 31 days of Samhain. We're in the stretch, guys. Today is day 29, and I will be working on the next few days for you, and I'm going to try and get you day 31 a little early, so that way you'll have everything before actually the 31st of October. Just as a reminder, if you're watching this, something we've been doing the last few years is we are reading the names of the blessed dead on astrological Samhain, which is November 5th of this year in 2020, the notorious year. Um, so if any of you would like names read, please send them into Pathways. You can shoot them through our Facebook page. Send us a message. You can send it to contact us on our website. Any of those ways will work. And we will be reading The Blessed Dead on Astrological Samhain, November 5th. Now, the reason that we've done it on the 5th instead of the 31st is it gives more people time to get names in there, because not everybody can make it on the 31st. And sometimes life just gets busy. So anyway, I hope you've been enjoying this 31 Days of Samhain. I've definitely enjoyed sharing it with you. Please join us for the next segment, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Bye.